Welcome to our first ever recipe of the week. We hope that you enjoy this recipe for baked chicken. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome to the Long Run with Joel and Christy. This is Christy, and this is our very first recipe of the week, which was requested by How Debbie Saves. She is another awesome channel that does grocery hauls and recipe videos, so be sure to check her out. Okay, let's get to the recipe. First, I'm going to give you a couple of tips. You're going to take your chicken out of the package a couple of hours before you intend to cook it. That's going to give you the crispiest skin. You take it out of the package, put it back in the refrigerator. Then you take it out, set it out on the counter about 15 minutes before you intend to cook it. Again, that is going to give you a crispier skin because the air is touching it. Then you're going to pat it dry with an old towel. That one's not dirty, it's just really stained. Then take a bowl that has a lid or either a Ziploc bag, and you're going to make your mixture. I don't have measurements for this. That is a 2/3 measuring cup, and as you see, I didn't use the whole thing. It's more about filling the bottom of the bowl. So you're going to do that, and then you're going to start adding your seasonings. Also, I melted a stick of butter and put it in that dish that you're seeing sitting right behind it. Okay, and we have a little salt. Again, I don't measure anything. I go light on my salt, and as you see, that's pink Himalayan salt there. Sorry about the bumping. I forget that I've got my tripod sitting on the counter, so if I set something down too heavy, everything moves. That's chili powder. If you don't like really spicy, just go light on these. I really like hot foods, so I go a little hot on the chili powder with that. That's black pepper. And again, I'm sorry I don't have measurements. It's going to be more about the look of what you're doing instead of measurements. That's paprika. And garlic powder. And like I've said on Instagram before, I'm not a recipe maker or creator. I am more of a recipe finder, and I'll give it a try. This is the only recipe that I kind of played with it and continued changing it repeatedly until we found the way that we really like it. And as you see, you just shake it up really good there, and what I'm looking for is a deep reddish brown color. I want it not to look like flour anymore, if you know what I mean. And also, just as a note, I was going to talk about it while I was making it, and then I figured out I had some sound quality issues. So occasionally you might see me gesturing as if I thought I was talking to you, and well, I was. And as you see, I'm putting a little bit more of the red and yellow from the turmeric in there because, again, I'm trying to make it look like a dark reddish brown. But again, if you don't like spicy, just hold back on some of those spices. Okay, so you are going to place your chicken one at a time in the bowl, and you're going to put the lid on it really tight, and you're going to get a little exercise by shaking it up really good. As you see, I took it off of the counter because I didn't want to get flour on the counter and the floor. It's easier to clean it up if it's just in one place, right? So you take the lid off, and you're going to place the chicken skin down in the dish with the butter in it. And you'll just keep doing that until you've done all four and place them in opposite directions so that they take up less space in the dish, or you could put it in two different bowls if you wanted to. And there I am saying that you need to hold on to that flour. Now I'm actually giving you a recipe within a recipe here. This is our recipe for cream of chicken soup. If you don't want to do this part, just skip over it, and buy a can of cream of chicken soup instead. We do this. This is one of our ways of making it a little healthier, is by making it ourselves, because we're avoiding the canned version, which has yellow food coloring in it and different preservatives to keep it shelf stable. And it's really easy, and it takes very few ingredients, and so it's cheaper than buying the can. And it really takes less than 10 minutes. But you're going to melt 3 tablespoons of butter, and then you're going to add 3 tablespoons of flour, and it wouldn't be Christy if I didn't get flour all over the stovetop. And as soon as you get that flour into the pot, you need to take a whisk and whisk it together, and you want to mix it for about 1 minute. Then you're going to add a half of a cup of chicken broth, which ours is homemade, but you want a half a cup of chicken broth and a half a cup of milk, and you're going to mix that real quick. And then you're going to add a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, a quarter of a teaspoon of salt, which I again usually go a little light on it. It's not full there. And a quarter of a teaspoon of black pepper. And I always have that's a little more of a heaping teaspoon of black pepper. Anyway, you're going to mix that together, and then you're going to bring it up to a simmer. As you see, it's already simmering there. Doesn't take long. You're going to leave it on simmer for 3 minutes. And when you're done, you're going to get this. It's going to look like the canned version, with the exception of it not being bright yellow. And again, that's just food coloring. Now we're going to make the gravy. All right, so we will have a pot of cream of chicken soup there. I've added just a little bit of water. It was probably a little bit less than a half of a cup. And then a splash of milk. Doesn't have to be, as you see, that's almond milk. You can use regular milk, 2%, whatever you want. And then you're going to add the secret sauce. That is the leftover flour. Now that flour has had the chicken, and it has all those spices and seasonings in it. And so you just want to add that to the pot. Don't worry, it's going to be very well cooked, so it is completely okay that chicken has been inside it. So you stir it, and you want to work out the lumps. Make sure that's worked out real well. And you're just going to heat that up until it starts bubbling, and you make sure that it's nice and warm. And don't worry about it being thick, because it's going to be fine. All right, so normally when Joel's here, he holds the chicken up for me, and I put the gravy underneath the chicken. But since he's not here, when I was recording this, I just put a plate there, and I moved 2 over at a time, and then put the gravy on it. And I know it looks really thick, but when it mixes together with that butter, it actually gets a lot thinner while cooking. And that's why you still want it thick before you add it to the dish. And you're going to add the other 2 pieces of chicken back to the dish. This time, skin up. because this is when the skin is going to get really crispy, is on this go around. So you do this with the other two. After you add them back to the dish, you're going to put them back in the oven at 425 degrees for another 35 minutes. And when you're done, you see the gravy has a nice thin gravy-like texture. It's not thick. It's not overly thick like it was when we added it to the dish. But it is some of the best gravy ever. We hope that you've enjoyed this recipe. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so that you don't miss future recipes of the week. And be sure to also watch for our grocery hauls when you get to vote for the new recipe of the week. And until next time, this is Christy with The Long Run with Joel and Christy. Bye.